Here's why you can't get your first AI agency clients even after weeks or months of trying. I was in the same trap, and in this video, I'm going to distill and break down exactly where you're stuck, how you can fix it, and more importantly, give you the ability to self-diagnose so that whenever this happens, you can always get back on track. This will work whether you have 0 clients or you're just starting out, or you're a seasoned veteran and you have 50 clients. The concept remains the same. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Staff, and myself and my business partner Mark run Prompt Advisors, where we help businesses integrate AI. We've done hundreds of projects at this point, and I use this YouTube channel as a way to help people who are early in the journey of discovering AI, understanding how it works. And if you're an agency owner or somebody looking to sell this to better your life, just like I have, then this is meant to be a launchpad. I want to start by removing the single biggest problem that I see most agency owners make when it comes to selling AI. That problem is this one sentence. This is a comment I get essentially every community call that I get on. Hey Taha, I've been doing X for Y time. Typically that's I've been doing cold email for 3 months. I've been doing cold call for 6 weeks. I've been doing paid ads for 2 months. It doesn't matter. The problem is the same, and I'll show you why. But for this, I'm gonna need to use my trusty iPad. And here's exactly why that method of thinking is wrong. I've got a chart here that says on one side, it shows clients. On the other side, it shows time. Now my question to you is, how would you draw this graph? I want you to actually think about this. How would you draw this graph? 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, you might have noticed that the question or the answer here is kind of hard to get to. The reason for that is we are missing pieces of the puzzle. There's data points that we don't have. How do I know if, it could be, is it this? Could be this, could be nothing at all. I don't know. Could be this. How do you tell? What's missing is a key variable in this equation, which is the volume average. That's what I've got right here. This is what you are missing. You are missing the only impact or the only variable that you actually have control over, because time is going to pass regardless. If this chart were to show up and you were doing nothing, like this, for example, let's have another chart here. Same thing, right? This one is time. This one is clients. If the only thing, my God, that's a terrible way to spell the clients. But if the only thing that happens is time goes, this will stay stagnant because nothing is changing. So now we have volume outreach. Let's take it a step further. Okay, I know volume of outreach. Well, how do I know, even if I do know volume, how would I still drop this? Like, what volume gets me a client? I don't know. What you're doing here is we need some sort of conversion rate. This is what I've got right here. This is what you're missing. And by the way, in my mind, this is what I think about when somebody says, I've been doing X amount of outreach for Y time. How do I know what that means? It could be any one of these. I've been doing emails for 3 weeks. Okay, well, what's the volume of outreach during those 3 weeks? And more importantly, what was the conversion rate? So this becomes a lot easier. If you know the conversion rate, then you can actually start identifying how many clients will you get in X amount of time, or how many clients will you get in X amount of volume. It's a percentage, right? If I know my conversion rate is 1%, then I know that for every, let's call it 100, I will get 1 client, which means my bar looks like this. And this will keep going, right? Assuming this is just constant, then this is what my chart will look like. Now, the question becomes, how do you identify this? How do you get a conversion rate? That's pretty difficult, right? You have no clients anyways. So if you are bringing into this, your conversion rate might be 0. So what do you do in that case? Let's make this practical. How do you find your conversion rate? I call this the touch point chain. This is the name I just came up with, but the concept is something that is pretty easily graspable. The touch point chain is essentially demystifying this whole conversion rate. This conversion rate isn't one thing. It is actually a combination or a formula of a bunch of different touch points that all at the end gave us this conversion rate number 1. Now, this touch point chain, I want you to think of it like this. For somebody to become a client, multiple things have to happen, right? There's different touch points. Think of all the different things that need to happen for you to get a client. The first thing, if I go step 1, is they probably have to know about you, right? So there has to be some sort of outreach, right? After that, you probably have to get them on some meeting, right? So then that's probably step 2, right? After the meeting, well, they probably have to close. Okay. So I now have a 3-step process. Here's the sauce. Here's the diagnoses. Each one of these steps will have its own conversion rate. Now, obviously, you already knew this. Now, the question becomes, how do I go further? Outreach to meeting, that's so vague. Here we go. Every single action that you have to take in order to get a client from in chronological order is a point in the touch point chain. So let's assume I did cold calls, right? Like I did quite a lot of. So my first step in my cold call is I've got a call, right? Okay, cool. Second step is somebody has to pick up. Cool. Then what's my next step after the pickup? I need to make sure that I'm talking to the owner. Cool. Right. After that, maybe I've got, did they hear my pitch? Right? This could be another touch point. And if they heard my pitch, did they book a meeting? Now, here's what you actually need to do. You need to do this for your entire business, for your entire acquisition strategy. Whatever you do to get clients, it needs to look like this in some map. And here's what you're going to do. Generally, you're going to open up some spreadsheet or do it on some sort of graph. It doesn't really matter what it is. But every single one of these points will have a conversion rate. Every one. So from call to pickup, there's going to be a conversion rate. There is going to be a certain amount of calls or a percentage on average that when you call, it pick up. It might be 20%. It might be 50%. Who knows? That is only something that you can find out. Once they do pick up, there's going to be another conversion rate, which is what is the percentage of time that you get the owner on the phone? Because we all know that gatekeepers and assistants don't want to hear about whatever you have to sell. You have to talk to the owner. That is an assumption that I'm making, but that's, I know by experience. Then there's another percentage, there's another conversion rate right here, which is the pitch. How many of the owners let you pitch? And on and on and on. You get the point. The whole goal, and I heard this a long time ago, but where most people get stuck, or what most of business isn't actually finding a solution. It's identifying what the problem is. By doing something like this, by figuring out what your conversion rate is, the next step in this journey is to just match it or compare it to the industry average. So let's say that my pickup rate for a business during normal business hours, obviously, let's say it's 10%. 10%. That's pretty low, right? You got to fix that. So how do we fix that? Well, now you have a lot better of an idea of what is wrong in your business. Let's say the industry average, after Googling it, pickup rate should be 50%, right? This is the industry average. This is the industry average. So obviously you have some work to do. Now it becomes, how do I get people to start picking up the phone? If I'm in your shoes and I'm calling and I'm only getting 10% of the people to even pick up the phone, then I know something is either wrong with my telephone system, or most likely you are calling from a number that isn't a local number. If I'm a local business, I don't want to talk to somebody from a different part of the country. If I'm in New York, I don't want to talk to somebody who's from LA if I run a business, because why would somebody from LA, depending on the service, need my services? The whole point of this video is the one thing that so many people get wrong. They get so caught up because they will bundle all these problems, all of this, into a single statement, which says, I can't get clients. Do you see how ridiculous this statement is now? Because how am I supposed to answer this question when these are all different possibilities? Any of this could be the problem. So whenever you're trying to figure out why you can't get clients, it's always one of these things. There's a bottleneck somewhere in your business. And if you're not even on step one, well, then you know what the problem is. You're not calling anybody. And if you are calling people, then are they picking up? If they are picking up, are you talking to the owner? If you're talking to the owner, is he letting you pitch? If they do let you pitch, do they book a meeting? Every single one of these problems is much easier to address on their own. And I'll just ramble off some more. If you pick up and you can't reach the owner, then you're probably not calling the right numbers because you're calling the office phone number. Try to figure out what their cell phone is. If the owner is letting you reach the owner, they don't let you pitch, then your script sucks. If you can't book a meeting, then a different part of your script sucks because they let you pitch, which means they gave you a chance and then you didn't impress them. But if you walk away with anything from this video, is do this exercise. Figure out what your different touch points are and identify where you are lacking. Where's the anomaly? Where's the bottleneck in the system? Because it's somewhere in there. Because if this is all working, then you don't have a client acquisition problem. And this goes further. This is just for getting people on a meeting. After that, you can go further than this. You can be, okay, well, I got people on a meeting. First one is, did they confer? Right? You even need to look at this. You could even just look at, did they show up? Right? Did they listen to the whole thing? Did they buy? And on and on and on. Each one of these also has its own conversion rate. On that note, that is why most people screw up when it comes to client acquisition. They cannot identify what the problem is. The second you identify what the problem is, your research, your problem solving becomes so much easier because you know what to look for. None of this is rocket science. It's just being able to take a big problem and dissect it into smaller, bite-sized chunks. That's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to know what the easiest way to actually start selling solutions for over $10,000, click on this video right here.